So, welcome to Jumbo IS and welcome to our lecture series called Daily News in Shorts. In this lecture series, we covered news, current affairs on a daily basis, and we don't take much of your time. We try to cover that day's newspaper or the important news items in that day's newspaper around 20 minutes. Okay, the purpose is very simple. You see, current affairs form a very important portion of your civil services examination, whether that's prelims or mains, and you need to cover current affairs on a daily basis. Can't spend your entire day reading the newspapers because you need time for other subjects as well, right? So for you guys and you guys alone, we try to cover that day's current affairs or a particular day's current affairs within 20 minutes. All you have to do is just watch this lecture for 20 minutes and then take another 20 to 25 minutes revising this lecture, okay, from the PDF file that we are going to share with you on our Telegram channel. You just have to watch this lecture, then revise this lecture from the PDF file, and in around 40 to 45 minutes, you will be done for the day as far as current affairs are concerned. Okay, so needless to say that you need to cover current affairs on a daily basis, and through this lecture series, you won't have to spare more than 45 minutes for covering current affairs on a daily basis. All right, so make sure you make this lecture series a part of your daily routine because, like I said before, current affairs are very, very, very extremely important. Now, today we are going to be covering October 29, 2024's current affairs. And the important news items that featured in today's newspaper are as following. So let's take a look at the topics of the day. In total, we'll be focusing on 4 topics because these were the 4 topics that are of importance for us civil services aspirants. Okay. Number 1 is World Meteorological Organization recently came out with a report on greenhouse gas emissions. So we'll cover this issue. Then recently, Prime Minister Narendra Modi, in his Mann Ki Baat speech, warned the nation against digital arrest scams, these scam calls that come to people. So we'll talk about this. Then recently, an announcement was made that the next census would be conducted soon. As you all know, the 2021 census couldn't get through because that was the year of lockdown. So it was very difficult to conduct a census or a survey. So now the government is ready to conduct this census, and this census would have a lot of implications for delimitation as well as women reservation in parliament and state assemblies. Okay, so this is a very important census. So we'll talk about this. And in the end, we'll talk about Supreme Court's recent ruling on Aadhaar cards. Okay, so we'll be focusing our attention on these 4 issues. So let's start the discussion, starting with topic number 1, which is World Meteorological Organization on greenhouse gas emissions. Okay, so what has World Meteorological Organization said? Well, World Meteorological Organization every year on an annual basis comes out with greenhouse gas bulletin, under which it gives us the data about greenhouse gases in the atmosphere and the greenhouse gases being emitted in 1 year. Okay, and this year's data or this year's report bulletin is quite alarming because this report says that greenhouse gas emissions reached record levels in 2023. Okay, greenhouse gas levels surged to a new record in 2023 with annual mean levels of carbon dioxide rising by 2.3 parts per million ppm between 2022 and 23. Okay, so the entire world is talking about reducing greenhouse gas emissions, but WMO says that it is not yielding results because greenhouse gas emissions are increasing every year. Okay, and this is very bad news for global warming and climate change. The globally average surface concentrations of carbon dioxide, methane, and nitrous oxides, these are all greenhouse gases. So CO2 is a greenhouse gas which warms the planet. Methane is, nitrous oxide is. So all these gases formed 420 parts per million in 2023, which is a lot. Okay, so there is a very high concentration of these greenhouse gases in the atmosphere, and if this continues to increase, well, it will have catastrophic consequences for the planet. Now, what were the causes behind such high levels of greenhouse gases in 2023? So there are some natural causes, and then there are some human caused causes. Okay, human reasons. So number 1 is large vegetation fires. 2023 was the year of forest fires. There were forest fires in Australia, there were forest fires in North America, in South America. Now, forest fires leads to burning of trees, and burning of trees emits a lot of carbon dioxide. Okay, then this carbon dioxide actually reaches the atmosphere, it further warms the planet, and this further leads to forest fires. Okay, so it's a vicious circle. Forest fires, because of climate change, caused CO2 emissions. CO2 emissions warmed the planet. Warming of the planet again led to forest fires. Okay, plus forests are instrumental in absorbing carbon dioxide from the atmosphere, because what do plants do? Plants perform photosynthesis during the day, and during photosynthesis they absorb carbon dioxide and emit oxygen. But if there are not enough trees in the world, then the carbon absorption capacity of the planet reduces. That is what happened. So large vegetation fires reduced forest cover, okay, which increased CO2. Plus, this increased CO2 couldn't be absorbed at a high level because not many forests were left. So this is one of the reasons. Then high fossil fuel emissions by human and industrial activities, of course, by factories, by vehicles, and all that. Plus, this was also the year of El Nino. And El Nino in general is accompanied by warm weather. Now, this warm weather further increased the frequency of forest fires, and this vicious cycle again continued. So, these are the three reasons: vegetation fires, high fossil fuel emissions, and El Nino phenomena. Okay, now that's all you need to know as far as this news is concerned. But you need to have some information regarding World Meteorological Organization. Okay, because international organizations are a part of your syllabus. It's clearly mentioned in your syllabus that you need to be aware of certain international organizations. Okay, so WMO is an intergovernmental organization. It has 192 member countries. Its headquarters are in Geneva, Switzerland, and it actually succeeded International Meteorological Organization. Okay, so International Meteorological Organization was formed in 1873 through Vienna International Meteorological Congress. Then in 1950, another convention was ratified by various countries called WMO Convention. Okay, and from then onwards, IMO got finished and its place was taken by WMO. Now, WMO is a specialized agency of UN. It is responsible for meteorology. Meteorology means studying weather phenomena, operational hydrology, studying water bodies, related geophysical sciences. Okay, geophysical sciences are sciences related to Earth. All right, so that's all you need to know about the first issue. Now let's jump straight away to second issue, which is a very alarming situation, so alarming that the Prime Minister had to mention it in his Mann Ki Baat speech. So what are digital arrest scams? First, let's talk about what the Prime Minister said. So during an episode of his radio program Mann Ki Baat on Sunday, PM Modi drew attention to digital arrests, warning people against the scam. Now, what are digital arrest scams? You receive a phone call one day, and the person on the other end claims to be an IPS officer, a CBI officer, or a government figure. Okay, and they claim that your name has come up in a particular smuggling racket, or your name has come up in money laundering, or there has been some evidence against you, and you are arrested at this moment, but you are arrested digitally. That means you cannot move away from the camera till the inquiries are over. Okay, so this is digital arrest. These people somehow fake their names, somehow they use certain apps to even change their faces also. Okay, they appear as legitimate as possible so that you fall victim to their scam, and then in the end they ask you for money to bail you out. Okay, now these scammers use phone calls, video calls, and whatnot. In fact, recently they scammed a very big industrialist, head of the Oswald Textile Group, and demanded 8 crores from him, and he got scammed. He fell victim to it, and he had to give 8 crores, and in the end he realized that that was a scam. Okay, so this is on the rise. These scams are on the rise, and this is creating a lot of problem for India, and that is why PM mentioned this scam. Okay, now what steps has the government taken? What steps has the government taken to reduce or fight against these cyber crimes? Because remember, these digital arrest scams are examples of cyber crimes. So has government taken any steps to reduce cyber crime? Well, yes. The most important step by the government is there is this organization under Ministry of Home Affairs, which is called Indian Cyber Crime Coordination Center, I4C. Okay, 4 times C. Indian Cyber Crime Coordination Center. It is under Cyber and Information Security Division of Home Ministry, and it is solely responsible, not solely, but it is responsible for tackling rising cybercrime. Plus, recently the government also found out that there are various transnational, multinational gangs operating from Southeast Asia, especially countries like Cambodia, Laos, Vietnam, right? And these transnational gangs are scamming Indians. So in May, the government actually set up an interministerial committee comprising of law enforcement agency members, intelligence agencies members to tackle against these crimes originating from transnational organized criminals who are based in Southeast Asian countries. Okay. Government has also raised awareness campaigns. Like in his Man Ki Baat speech, Prime Minister Modi said that don't fall victim to these crimes because no government agency would arrest you digitally. They would physically come and arrest you. There is no such thing as digital arrest in India. Okay, so make sure you do not fall victim to this. And in case you encounter these phone calls, the government has given a helpline number for registering cyber complaints. There is a website, cybercrime.gov.in, where you can register that complaint. All right. Okay. Now let's jump to third news item, which is the next census. Now you must be aware of this fact that since 1881, census, which is counting of India's population, has been conducted since 1881 every 10 years. So after 1881 was the first year for 10-year censuses. Okay, so the Britishers started this practice. Then it was in 1891, then 1901, and so on and so forth. And this continued. So this continued till 2011. Okay, so this practice of conducting census started by the British was continued by Indians. Okay, independent India till 2011. Okay, now the thing is that the government was all ready to conduct the 2021 census. But the problem was that this was the year of COVID 19 and lockdowns were rampant. Therefore, it was not possible for the government to go out in the open and conduct these censuses. But now that the lockdown or COVID 19 is far, over basically. So now the government is ready to conduct these censuses. Plus, this census is fairly important. This census is very important. The 2021 census, which is going to be conducted next year, or the procedure will start next year. Okay, this census is very important because through 128th constitutional amendment, the government has said that 33% of the seats in parliament and state assemblies would be reserved for women. Okay, but that would happen only after the next population figures come out. Plus delimitation. Delimitation means counting the number of constituencies for elections, or delimitation also means that allocating constituencies to different states, the boundaries of constituencies, basically parliamentary and state legislative assemblies constituencies are to be made up through delimitation exercise. Now the constitution has said that delimitation exercise would be conducted after every census, but 2021 census was not conducted. Okay, so it would have a lot of bearing, or it would have consequences for the delimitation exercise that has to be conducted after 2026. All right, so these are the important things for which this census is long awaited. All right, now let's get some more information regarding the census of India. First of all, conducting census is a constitutional mandate. Okay, seventh schedule of our constitution, which contains different lists: union list, state list, concurrent list, mentioning which subjects can be legislated by which authority. Subjects on which union parliament can legislate is mentioned in union list, legislative assemblies can legislate state list, and both can legislate concurrent list. Now entry or item 69 in the union list of 7th schedule of the constitution says that census is the job of center or parliament, right? So even constitution mentions that census should be conducted. Plus, India has also passed a law called Census of India Act 1948, which provides the legal framework for conducting censuses. And in India, census is conducted by Registrar General and Census Commissioner of India, which is under Home Ministry. Okay, but there is one more thing. Nowhere in the constitution or this law, nowhere is mentioned the timing or the frequency of conducting censuses. Okay, now we have been following this British convention of conducting censuses every 10 years, but it is not mandatory to conduct census every 10 years. Constitution is silent about the timing of census. Law is silent about timing of the census. Nowhere in the law it is written that when should you conduct a census. Okay, we have just been following a convention, but the timing and frequency of conducting censuses is not mentioned. That is why government can delay census. All right, now I mentioned before that this census, which is going to be conducted in 2025, or the process for that would start in 2025, is important for delimitation and women reservation. So, what is this issue regarding delimitation? Okay, well, our constitution clearly mentions that delimitation exercise would be conducted after every census. Okay, but the 42nd Constitutional Amendment Act actually froze delimitation in 1976 till 2001. Now that was done because government was very serious about population control, and to encourage states to control their population, government froze delimitation exercise because the states with maximum population would get maximum seats in the parliament. Now that would not be an incentive to reduce your population numbers. Therefore, 42nd Constitutional Amendment Act froze delimitation exercise till 2021. Sorry, 2020, 2001. In 2001, census was conducted, and 2002 delimitation exercise was conducted, but that was not related to number of seats. It was related to the boundaries of different constituencies. And in 2001, 84th Constitutional Amendment Act was passed. And this Amendment Act clearly said that the next delimitation would be done after the census report after 2026. So the first census that would be conducted after 2026, on the basis of that report, delimitation would be conducted. Okay. Now, no one expected back in 2001 that COVID-19 would come. So everyone expected that 2021 census would be conducted, and after that 2031 census would be conducted. It was mentioned in 84th Constitutional Amendment Act that no delimitation would be done on the basis of census that has been conducted before 2026. Delimitation would be done on the basis of census conducted after 2026. So women reservation and delimitation exercise would have to wait till 2031, or this 2021 census takes time to come out with its report. And if the report of 2021 census comes out after 2026, then the government can conduct delimitation exercise based on that census because the report came after 2026, and women reservation can also be passed. Okay, so this is the issue. All right, and last, Supreme Court ruling on Aadhaar. Now, what is in the news? The Supreme Court held that Aadhaar cards cannot be used as proof of age. So recently, Supreme Court has made it clear that you cannot use Aadhaar, date of birth on Aadhaar, as age proof. Aadhaar is just identity proof. Okay, there are other documents which prove your age. Aadhaar cannot be used as age proof. Okay, now this judgment of Supreme Court was based on previous judgments of high courts, plus Supreme Court also relied on its 2018 judgment. Okay, which was the privacy case, the Puttaswamy case in 2018, under which the Supreme Court made right to privacy a fundamental right. That was the Puttaswamy case in 2018, because Aadhaar Act was challenged in the Supreme Court. So constitutional bench of Supreme Court gave a judgment, and under that judgment, under this Puttaswamy case, the Supreme Court said that Aadhaar is a voluntary thing. It shouldn't be made compulsory, especially for bank account, education institution, getting a mobile SIM card. It shouldn't be made compulsory. But it can be made compulsory for linking it with PAN cards for filing income tax returns, or if you want to be a beneficiary of any government subsidy program, then government can make it mandatory. But apart from that, it should be voluntary. All right. Now, since that judgment, Aadhaar has been expanding. Government is using Aadhaar for everything now. In fact, private organizations are also using Aadhaar information for verification of identity. So Aadhaar's scope has expanded. In fact, for MG Manrega, Employment Guarantee Scheme, Aadhaar is kind of compulsory for rural workers. All right. That's all. That's all you need to know from today's newspaper. That's about it. And with that, we conclude today's session. Now, my request to you guys would be that you need to revise these current affairs, this lecture from our PDF file. This PDF file shall be available on our Telegram channel. And the link to our Telegram channel is provided in the comment section below this video. So search for the link for our Telegram channel. Click on that link. You will be taken to our Telegram channel. From there, you can download the PDF for not just this lecture, but all the other lectures featuring on our YouTube channel. All right. On that note, I'll be signing off. Thank you so much, everyone.